council return to their seats so we can start. Okay, for those of you that were here for the first public hearing, some of this is going to be a little bit of a repeat, but just because this is a quasi-judicial setting, I'm going to read the script another time just to make sure that it's on the record for this. Tonight's discussion is about 1541 to 1557 Bond Street and a portion of lane allowance. And these are amendments to the official community plan and zoning bylaw that are being heard at this public hearing. This public hearing is being convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act and is being held in a hybrid meeting format, meaning there's a combination of in-person and electronic participation by some or all members of council, staff, and the public. Chair has established the following rules for this hearing. We will first go through the established speakers list. At the end of the speaking list, the chair may call for any other speakers not on the speakers list. You will have 5 minutes to address council for a first time. Begin your remarks to council by stating your name. After everyone who wishes to speak has spoken once, speakers will then be allowed one additional 5-minute opportunity. Any additional presentations will only be allowed at the discretion of the chair. Please do not repeat information from your previous presentations and ensure your comments remain focused on the bylaws under consideration this evening. If you have provided a written submission, there's no need to read it as it will have already been seen by council. You may summarize or briefly reiterate highlights of your submission, but ensure your comments pertain to the bylaws under consideration at this hearing. All members of the audience are asked to be respectful of one another as diverse opinions are expressed. Council wishes to hear from everyone's views in an open and impartial forum. Some important notes about public hearings. Council is here to listen to the public, not debate the merits of the bylaws. Council may ask clarifying questions. The clerk has a binder containing documents and submissions related to the bylaws which council has received and which you are welcome to review. This is available on the table next to the door and online at dnb.org/agenda. Everyone at the hearing will be provided an opportunity to speak. If necessary, we will continue the hearing on a second night. At the conclusion of the public input, council may request further information from staff which may or may not require an extension of the hearing, or council may close the hearing, after which council should not receive further new information from the public. Finally, please note that this hearing is being held via Zoom and recorded in accordance with the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And once again, to state, as we are participating in this in hybrid fashion, with Councillor Back joining us virtually this evening, all members of the council are present and participating in this hearing this evening. And so at this point, I'm going to go to the clerk for you to read the bylaw into the record, please.
Thank you, through your worship. District of North Vancouver Official Community Plan 7900 2011 Amendment Bylaw 8623-2023 Amendment 48. Bylaw 8623 proposes to amend the OCP land use designation of a portion of the subject site and lane allowance from residential level 5 low density apartment RES5 to residential level 6 medium density apartments RES6 and a portion of the subject site and lane allowance to parks, open space and natural areas POSNA. District of North Vancouver rezoning bylaw 1425 bylaw 8622. Bylaw 8622 proposes to amend the district zoning bylaw by rezoning a portion of the subject site and lane allowance from single family residential 6,000 zone RS4 to create a new comprehensive development zone 144 CD 144 and a portion of the subject site and lane allowance to neighborhood park NP. The CD 144 zone addresses permitted and accessory uses, conditions of use, and zoning provisions such as density, amenities, setbacks, height, site and building coverage, landscape and stormwater management, flood construction requirements, and parking and loading requirements.
Okay, thank you very much. And so next we're going to have a presentation from the staff up to 15 minutes. And so for that we have Mr. Kevin Zhang from our development planning group. Welcome. Is the table microphone on? Now it is. There you go.
Great. Good evening, Your Worship, members of council and members of the public. My name is Kevin Zhang, and I'm a development planner with the district. Tonight's public hearing is for the 4 properties located at 1541 to 1557 Bond Street. And the proposal is for a significant increase in rental housing on these lands. From the existing zoning, which permits 4 single-family homes with suites, to a 65-unit rental building, 6 of which are below market rents, and these will be secured in perpetuity. My presentation includes 16 slides and is approximately 10 minutes in length.
Thank you.
Associated with this proposal are two bylaws that are the subject of public hearing tonight. First, Bylaw 8623 redesignates a portion of the site to residential level 6 to accommodate the proposed rental building, and redesignates another portion of the site as parks, open space, and natural areas to accommodate a portion of the Green Spine Linear Park. Second, Bylaw 8622 rezones a portion of the site to Comprehensive Development Zone 144 and another portion of the site to Neighborhood Park, again, to accommodate this mix of rental building and linear park. Although not the subject of the public hearing tonight, this proposal has two other related bylaws. Bylaw 8624, which authorizes the district to enter a housing agreement to secure the 65-unit rental building, and of which 6 are non-market rental units in perpetuity. And second, Bylaw 8625, which authorizes the district to reduce the DCCs for the 6 non-market rental units to 0. The site, highlighted by the red rectangle, is situated at the south end of the Lynn Creek Town Center, on the south side of Bond Street and east of Mountain Highway. It's just under 19,000 square foot in size and consists of 4 lots and a portion of the district lane to the south. As we can see from this image, surrounding land uses include single-family properties to the north, west, and east, which are designated for low-density apartment developments. Phibbs Exchange is to the southeast of the site. Immediately south of the property are a few developments of a similar scale. So going from left to right, I think you can see my mouse there. Creekstone Care Center, which is the large development with the curved driveway, has been recently completed. Another recently completed project is a market rental building located at 1550 Oxford Street. And that's just, in this satellite photo, it's under construction. Third, a social housing building that was developed in partnership with the district and is currently under construction as the third and last assembly on the block. Across Oxford Street are the Lynn Creek apartments. All of these projects, are similar to the proposal tonight in that they're at least 6 stories in height and have densities ranging from approximately 2.6 to 3.1 FSR. OCB amendments were approved to accommodate additional density in all of these cases. As noted in the previous slide, the development includes a portion of the district lane, shown in red on the slide here. The lane closure is specifically identified in the Lynn Creek plan. The intent of this and other lane closures east of Mountain Highways is to primarily improve pedestrian and cycling and vehicle safety by reducing access points to and from Mountain Highway. Additional measures are proposed in the Lynn Creek plan to improve circulation in the town center, including new service lanes, new bike routes, and pedestrian connections, such as the Green Spine Linear Park, which I'll cover on the next slide. The applicant has a purchase and sale agreement with the district to acquire the lane at market value, and this is conditional to the approval of the OCP amendment, rezoning, and road closure bylaws. The remaining sections of the lane, east and west, will remain open to service existing single-family homes until those lots redevelop in the future. Moving on to the Green Spine Linear Park. The Green Spine Linear Park is a new public park that runs north-south from Fern Street up in the north to Oxford Street to the south. And it will provide, in addition to obviously new park space, significantly improved pedestrian and cycling connections through the Lynn Creek Town Center. This project, highlighted in red, will be dedicating a 5-meter wide section of the site to the district to implement this linear park, as envisioned in the Lynn Creek plan and the design guidelines. This photo here shows the first completed section, which is just south of the proposed development. And it is anticipated that more segments of the Green Spine will be implemented as other redevelopments occur. This project has been reviewed against and is compliant with key policy documents from the district. Being a fully rental building with a component of non-market rental and being located in one of our town centers, it addresses OCP goals such as the delivery of new rental units and affordable housing, and the provision of pedestrian-friendly features and public realm improvements. It is also aligned with the OCP Review Action Plan, which calls for prioritizing rental housing and contributing to an increased range of housing options, and increasing housing option diversity and accessible housing in town and village centers. It is designed in accordance with the Lynn Creek Implementation Plan, which envisions low to mid-rise apartments at a height of approximately 5 stories, and land contribution towards the future Green Spine North-South Linear Park. Lastly, the proposed tenure types fits within our rental and affordable housing strategy, which aims to expand the supply and diversity of housing, specifically new rental housing. Zooming in on the project itself, we here have the ground floor plan on screen. The project includes one 6-story building with a total of 65 rental units. Vehicle access to the underground parking is indicated by the blue arrow on the screen here at the northwest corner of the site. This vehicular access will be shared with future development to the west and will be secured via an easement registered on the property. The primary pedestrian access is from Bond Street, as indicated by the orange arrows, and additional common pedestrian entrances are provided from the Green Spine to the east. Also on the ground floor are indoor amenity rooms and storage lockers. And to the east of the site will be the future Green Spine. And this slide shows the interim condition right now, and the ultimate build out, as you can see here, will be constructed when the neighboring sites redevelop. A conceptual landscape plan has been submitted with a rezoning application, which includes approximately 1,800 square feet of shared outdoor amenity areas in the south portion of the property. In terms of the unit mix, the proposal includes 65 rental units, including 6 non-market rental units. The units are a mixture of studio, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom layouts ranging in size from 370 square feet to 1,050 square feet. Overall, approximately 37% of the units are 2- and 3-bedroom layouts, which will be considered suitable to accommodate families. Now let's dive a little deeper into the 6 non-market rental units. They are comprised of 2 studios, 2 1-bedrooms, 1 2-bedroom unit, and 1 3-bedroom unit. The starting rents for the non-market rental units are $1,150 for a studio, $1,385 for 1 bed, $1,795 for a 2-bed, and $2,100 for a 3-bedroom unit. These rents would be considered affordable to households with incomes in the district's low to moderate income range, with pre-tax incomes between approximately $30,000 and $80,000 per year. And by comparison, these rents are approximately 15% below district median rents, and also 30 to 40% below comparable market rents in the Lynn Creek area. A housing agreement would secure all of these units in the proposed building as rental and secure the rental rates and eligibility criteria for the non-market rental units. Before moving on to the specifics of the tenant relocation assistance package, I just want to provide some context. So this is the first project to move forward under the latest residential tenant relocation assistance policy, which was adopted by Council in 2021. The project currently includes 4 houses, 3 of which have suites, so totaling 7 units, and 6 of these units are currently tenanted. Since the owner has purchased the property, tenants have been informed of their intention to redevelop the site and have been kept up to date on the project status. All tenants are currently renting on a month-to-month basis. The relocation assistance package proposed complies with the 2021 policy and will be covered on the following slide. So moving on to the details of the relocation package, and for the purposes of this presentation, let's first focus on just the first column here. The proposed package includes the following: 4 months of free rent, a residency bonus per month of tenancy, a flat rate moving expense assistance, 6 months notice, first right to rent either the market or the non-market units in the new development. A tenant relocation coordinator will also be assigned to help find suitable accommodation. Where possible, the owner should attempt to find housing that is no more than 10% above the existing rents. Now, over on the second column, I've provided the Residential Tenancy Act requirements for the purposes of comparison, and we can see that the proposed package exceeds the RTA in all categories. And at the bottom of the page, you see that the total value proposed is approximately $8,000 to $12,000 per tenant, as compared to the approximately $2,000 per tenant under the RTA requirements. Moving on to bike and vehicle parking, this project has a total of 116 bicycle parking spaces, 110 of which are for residential use, allowing for just under 2 bikes per unit, in compliance with the district's bike parking and end-of-trip facilities policy. A bike repair room is also provided in the parking garage. An additional 6 parking spaces in bike racks are to be located at street level. In terms of vehicle parking, the proposal includes a total of 28 residential parking spaces, 6 of which are for visitors, for an overall parking rate of 0.43 spaces per unit. The alternative vehicle parking rates policy provides guidance to applicants who are seeking to reduce parking in accordance with the district's objectives of advancing active transportation. And it specifies TDM measures that are, and also significant, it specifies any proposal must include transportation demand management measures, and that significantly reduced parking should provide substantial rationale for staff consideration. And in this case, the number of vehicle parking proposed is the result of a few key factors. The first being that the high water table in the area makes a second level of underground parking financially prohibitive. The second is that rental tenure is typically associated with reduced demand for parking. And lastly, the site is immediately proximate to Fairfax Exchange, which is attractive to residents without vehicles. In order to justify the reduced parking rate of 0.43, the applicant is proposing a suite of TDM measures seen here. 1 motor vehicle parked car is provided to the building. Level 2 chargers are installed throughout the development. 2 e-bikes are provided. 2 zone transit passes are provided for 6 months to any unit without a parking space. And the applicant has committed to a post-occupancy transportation parking study. In terms of sustainability, the proposal will meet step 3 of the BC Step Building Code and include a low carbon energy system. Fossil fuel mechanical design is also proposed. And lastly, the proposal includes provision of energized outlets for level 2 vehicle charging stations for all residential parking spaces, and level 1 outlets in all bicycle storage spaces. A virtual public information meeting was held on March 4th to 18th of the previous year, and approximately 225 notices were delivered to the neighborhood, and there were 75 visitors to the PIN page. 6 comments were received as part of both the public information meeting and the public hearing notice, and the majority of the feedback was in support of the project, with some individuals citing concerns for parking. In conclusion, the proposal tonight presents an alternative to what's existing. On one hand, you have 4 single-family homes with suites, and on the other hand, you have a secured 65-unit rental building with 6 non-market rental units. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay, and next we have the applicant has an opportunity to speak for up to 15 minutes.
Thanks very much. Good evening, Mayor Little and Council. My name is Norman Laube, and I'm one of the owners of Pure Living Homes, the applicant proposing to build the 65-unit secured rental apartment building. The Pure Group owns several rental apartment and office buildings in North Vancouver and has an active property management arm. We are a small local property company that is focused on making North Vancouver a better place to live and work. I am here with my partners, Francis Tam and Stephen Evans. Francis is managing the existing properties and will speak to our efforts to help our existing tenants find new places to live. Steve is our founding partner and will summarize our presentation. The 3 of us have lived and raised our families in the district for more than 25 years, some of us up to 40 years each. This is our home, and we want it to be the home for our children and their generation as well. That is why we are committed to building new housing in the District of North Vancouver. We also have representatives here from our project team, including our architect, Reza Salahay, right here, and Matt Gray from ETA Landscape Architecture, right over here. And we were hoping to have our transportation consultant here, but unfortunately he had to cancel at the last minute. We're available to answer any questions. I'd like to give a little bit of background to our project. We started to acquire the 4 lots on Bond Street way back in 2016 and purchased them in late 2017. It takes quite some time to assemble a minimum number of parcels to be able to do a multifamily development. We selected these lots as the OCP identified them for multifamily, and they are close to Phibbs Bus Exchange, making the location a true transit-oriented development site. This is a proven model that supports fewer cars and lower greenhouse gas emissions and more walking and bicycling opportunities. As Kevin pointed out earlier, and we like to highlight, you will see that we are making great efforts to support alternative transportation methods. We have been working with the district staff for more than 5 years and like to thank both the Planning and Engineering Department and the Community Planning Department for all the hard work in bringing the project to where it is today. And we are bringing forward the best possible project that serves the community and new residents alike. We'd like to highlight some of the benefits and trade-offs that our project is providing. Number 1, we are providing the 65 apartments as secured rental housing, and that's secured in perpetuity. And it's a mix of all housing types from studios up to 3-bedroom units. The mix of unit types will accommodate people of all ages, family types, and abilities, and that are particularly interested in living in rental apartments close to a transit hub. The official community plan did not require this, but we heard clearly the goals of this council and adjusted our plans from strata ownership to rental. Unfortunately for us, we acquired the land based on strata. This was when the previous council was in place, meaning that we paid some 20% more than if we had purchased the land for a rental project. This has made it difficult to make the pro forma work and has limited our ability to provide concessions to the district. Importantly, though, we heard loud and clear that affordability is important. So we have done everything we can to provide some deeply discounted units. As Kevin pointed out, we are offering 6 of the apartments to be discounted on average between 30 and 40% below current market rents. This is a very deep discount. These units will be managed by not-for-profit agencies to provide housing for residents that need assistance with affordability. For example, the proposed discounted rent for a 3-bedroom unit is $2,100 and current rents for similar housing is $3,500. Likewise, we are offering a 1-bedroom for $1,385 a month, where current market rents are more than $2,500. The discounting of these units, just these 6 units, has a financial impact on our project of more than $1.2 million of value that we are forever giving up and that we cannot obtain bank financing on. This puts further constraints on the feasibility of the project. Very quickly, we just want to point out that all the units are designed to be universally accessible, plus 5 of the units will be enhanced for persons with disabilities as required by district policy. Accessible parking stalls are provided as well. As Kevin pointed out as well, the greenhouse gas emissions targets for the municipality and the province, we are working hard to meet and exceed these goals, and we are building this building to the BC Building Code Enhanced Step Code 3, meaning that we'll have no natural gas service. Heating and air circulation will be provided by electric baseboards and HRV or heat recovery ventilator units in each apartment. The Green Spine Linear Park that Kevin explained so eloquently, we are dedicating half of one of our lots to this green spine, and that makes up 13% of our site. We paid for this land, but we cannot develop it for housing, which means that about 5,200 square feet of potential housing is not being built, which equates to eight apartments of approximately 650 square feet each. This is a trade-off between parks and housing, and we fully understand that. We support the green spine, but it does have an impact. Furthermore, we are making a contribution as required to the district of $220,000 to allow for the future landscaping of the green spine. We are acquiring a portion of the district lane as required, approximately 2,640 square feet. We have an agreement to purchase this land as part of this bylaw for $1.1 million, which are funds that will go directly to the district. Unfortunately for us, we are paying 20% more for this land than we should be because it's now a rental project. But as part of the valuation that the appraiser that was engaged by the district to do, there were no rental site comparables. And so we're being appraised as a condo site. It's very unfortunate for the metrics of the project. Another interesting challenge we've had for this site is not only do we have the green spine on the east side, taking away a portion of the developable area, working with district staff, they were very cognizant of the proximity of the Creekside Care Building, which when it was approved, was given a variance to be built closer to the property line than normal. Therefore, staff has asked that we pull our building back further, some 30% more than the required setback. This means that we have foregone the ability to provide 7,200 square feet of housing, or approximately 11 one-bedroom units, to allow for that extra separation between ourselves and the Creekside building. Public art. We are providing a $15,000 public art commission to a District of North Van artist to provide a piece of visual art that will be located at the corner of the Green Spine and Bond Street on our property for all to enjoy. It should be noted that one of the goals of engineering of the district's engineering group was to minimize the amount of driveway access points on Bond Street. So we have designed a shared parkade entrance driveway on our property where the entire driveway is on our property, but will provide access to the future development on the west side of our site, the property between our site and Mountain Highway. What that means for us, though, is that that takes away some of our potential parking underground, but does allow for more parking in the neighboring parcel because they do not have a ramp coming down. We are going to be providing a Moto car share, and Moto is preferring that's an electric car with a level 2 charger. And the value of that is approximately $50,000 that we are paying. And that car will be available not only for our tenants, but for the neighborhood as well. We're providing 2 electric bikes to be shared by our tenants for a minimum of 2 years, which with the cost of the share app will cost us approximately $10,000. We're providing 2-zone bus passes for all the tenants that don't have one of the 22 car parking spots, complimentary for the first 6 months during the first 5 years of the building being occupied. This has a cost to us of some $55,000. We are providing one level of underground car parking totaling 22 spaces for tenants, including 3 handicap stalls, 5 for visitors, including 1 handicap stall, and 1 for the Moto car share. Each space will be level 2 EV charger ready, and the Moto stall will have a level 2 charger installed. We cannot build any part of a second level of underground parking, as the cost would make the project unfeasible. Council may remember that staff noted during the first reading of this project that the district's consultant had confirmed that there is no ability for the applicant to provide further concessions or any part of another level of underground parking. Street infrastructure. Because we're the first development on Bond Street, on this section of Bond between Mountain and Orwell, the upgrades that the district's engineering department is requiring have an impact of about $1.5 million on our project for sanitary and storm sewer upgrades, water upgrades, and sidewalks, curbs, and landscaping along Bond Street from Mountain Highway to Orwell on the south side of the road. This is in addition to the $525,000 of development cost charges we must pay the district. We are being required to upgrade all of Bond, which the future projects in Bond benefit from, even though we only have 25% of the frontage on the south side of the road. Metro Vancouver also charges development cost charges. When we acquired these properties, the estimate for the DCCs was approximately $130,000. These are now have gone up to $400,000 for the 65 units that we're proposing. This fee has tripled and puts added pressure on the financial feasibility of the project. I'd like to now ask Francis to speak to our tenant support program.
Okay, thanks, Norm. We have been regularly informing our tenants since we bought the properties in 2017 that we have been actively pursuing the redevelopment of these properties with a 6-story multifamily building. This has been clearly communicated to all the 5 new tenants who have moved in since 2017. The other 2 tenants who were renting the units when we acquired the properties have also been informed since we acquired the properties. To ensure that the tenants were fully informed, we have provided rezoning updates, if any, to them each month as we visit to collect the rent. We notified them by letter, email, or by text of the progress of the rezoning. We have posted signage on the property and on the corner of Mountain Highway and Bond of the public information meetings in December 2018 and March 2022, and now the June 2023 public hearing. Going forward, we will continue to meet with each tenant to explain the RTA-RAP, the Tenant Relocation Assistance Program, that we are providing and having them acknowledge our offer in writing that includes ample notice, 6 months free rent, and moving allowance. The tenants will benefit from more than $70,000 of financial savings and allowances. As stated by Kevin, we will offer the tenants the first right to rent the new suites, whether the affordable or the market ones. We will advise the tenants of housing options for them, such as the Stanford, Hollyburn Family Services, new building on Orwell, and the Kiwanis apartment in Lynn Valley. And we will provide them with links to the various housing support offerings of BC Housing and the BC Rent Bank. And we will continue to work with the tenants as we get closer to knowing when we will receive our building permit, and to help them find housing through Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Kijiji, etc., and rentals.ca. As mentioned earlier, the tenants will have been made aware of the redevelopment since day one. What has been unclear to the tenants, which is sometimes also unclear to us, is the exact timing of our rezoning and permitting process. We have always given assurances to the tenants that they will get more than sufficient notice when it is time for them to move out of the units. I will now ask Steve to summarize our presentation.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity to present tonight. As you've already heard from my partner Norm, we acquired the property over 5 years ago with the expectation of building condos to fit in with the OCP of creating a live, work, play village center in Lynn Creek. And after 5 years of effort and working with the planning staff, we've reached this point. Over that 5-year period, we have pivoted from condo to rental, have included 6 deeply discounted rental units, and have been hit with interest rate increases by 3 times, increasing by 3 times. That is not 3 interest rate increases. That is the interest rate is 3 times higher today than we expected than what it was when we bought the property. In addition to that, the construction costs have now increased by about 50%. The only thing that has actually kept this project afloat in the face of the dramatic cost increases is the large undersupply of rental housing in North Van, which has in turn pushed the market rental rates up significantly, making housing less affordable and kind of making this property still feasible, although just barely. It is important to note that all rental housing is built with borrowed money from banks. Banks require a detailed budget that demonstrates how the end rental revenue will sufficiently cover the mortgage payments and all operating costs, or else they will not lend the funds and no housing will get built. So for every extra dollar of costs on the project, that means the bank requires an increase in rental revenue from the end of the project to compensate. In closing, Pure Living Developments is a small local company owned by the 3 of us. We're not some big players like Polygon or Concert Properties. We're just a local group that saw an opportunity. We all live in North Vancouver. We've raised our families here. We recognize the significant need for rental housing, as well as an opportunity to provide that rental housing and supply of 65 apartment homes in North Van for the North Van workers and residents. And we ask the public and council to support our project so that we can get it built and provide homes for 65 families. Thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to move to the public input portion of the hearing. And again, I only have 1 speaker signed up to speak, but once that speaker has spoken, I'm going to come back out and see if anybody else would like to add their comments, either in person or virtually, to the meeting. So don't worry, if your name's not on the list, you'll still have an opportunity to add your comments if you wish. But at this point, I'm going to call the first and only speaker on the list, George McKay, up to the front area. Sorry, George McKay. Sorry. Sorry. It's a McKay Creek debate in North Vancouver too. Yeah.
McKay's good.
There you go. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you. Yes, George McKay, the 2728 Dollarton Highway. I would like to speak in support of this proposed development to add to the rental housing stock in North Vancouver. We're just anecdotally, I've been trying to help a family member find rental accommodation. His income profile is not that great. He's an okay tenant, probably not the best tenant, and invariably every time we find something, we lose out, mainly because there's just not enough units. So, the gentleman that spoke, I'm sure they know a lot more about the project, and you may all know more about it too. But it seems to me if we just increase the supply, it's going to help the market correct. We've also looked, in other places, Burnaby, Vancouver, it's the same thing, right? There's nowhere in the Lower Mainland that's got enough rental housing. And I feel that the landlords that do have supply, sometimes it's not decent, right? It's in really terrible condition. And I think that from what I can see, the government's under pressure to not shut down accommodation that's in terrible condition because they don't want to lose the housing stock. So again, back to, if we can add some new stock into the market, it'll create more competition. The landlords that do have the poorer buildings will lose out. They may lose their tenants. Right now, they're sitting pretty because there's just no competition in terms of new supply. So if we can get some more rental housing, fantastic. So I support it in that sense. It's close to Phibbs Exchange. I'm excited. As a lifelong North Vancouver person, I'm excited to see finally we're expanding Phibbs Exchange. Every day I can see the progress going on there. So it seemed to me that this project naturally complements what's going on there. I'd love to see it get Phibbs Exchange be fully supported, more supported than ever. It's not been an attractive place to go for many years. Hopefully, once it's done, it'll be a place where even the single family dwelling type folks like myself will want to use it more. And I think if you live close by it, it's just a natural that you're going to want to use it. Fundamentally, The province is facing, as I said, I think a province-wide housing crisis. So this is going to be one part of the overall solution. Another thing I like about it is I like the concept of what we're doing in terms of the designated town centers. Lynn Creek Town Center seems to be really starting to take hold. Maplewood, I'd like to see drive ahead too, but I can see that perhaps Lynn Creek can take and should take priority over what the plan is for Maplewood. So let's fully develop Lynn Creek, and I think this sounds to me like one part of that process. And by further expanding and what we're doing in terms of the town centers, back to the environment, we're going to be lessening urban sprawl. Decentralization of the provision of services is going to be more cost-effective, better for the environment in that sense. So, I'm sure there's lots of good reasons why we're doing the town centers. So this looks to me like a great opportunity to reinforce a decision that we've already taken in the community. Lastly, looks to me like developers going out of their way in terms of the moto car sharing, the bike sharing. These are good initiatives, it appears to me. This developer is known to me. I think they're going to do a good project. As best I can tell, the things that they said in their presentation are true and accurate in terms of the financials and the limitations that they have relative to the opportunity. And I hope you'll support their application. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. George Mackay. Okay, I have a virtual speaker that would like to add their comments. Ali Zahurian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Definitely. I'm a resident at 1550 Oxford Street. So we moved over there about 8-9 months ago when it's a new construction, a new building. And I remember I used to park my car in the Oxford Street, but there's a new regulation that there's no parking in the Oxford Street. So I started to park my car in the Bond Street, which now you cannot find any available parking. Like it's every time it's full. Like every moment that you go in the Bond Street, there's so many cars that already parked over there. And I asked my starter to give me like a parking spot, and they said that the parking spot is $150 per month. It used to be $120, and because there is no parking spot, they increased it to $150. And there is and they didn't give me a parking spot. They said it's full, and I said even the complex is not a full capacity, but you don't have any parking spot. They said no, there is no parking spot here. But I don't know exactly where should I park my car in that residency. And I'm a little worried about. I don't want to live in that area anymore. I want to move to the city of Vancouver. Like there's no parking spot. We cannot find, the guests cannot find any parking. It's very nightmare to live in the Oxford Street area, and I'm not happy with that. I'm just a little worried about people who doesn't know about this kind of limit that we have in that area, in that Oxford and Bond Street, and they just moved over there. And after a few months, they are so disappointed because there is no parking, there is no area. Their guest doesn't have any parking. The visitor, the mailman cannot park in the Oxford Street. It's so like I just want to get this to the attention of you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments, Ali Zahurian. And I thought I saw a virtual hand pop up. May have been taken back down. Would anybody else here in the room like to address Nicole Hebert? Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you. I just want to give my support to this development. I think it'd be really good to have more rental spaces, especially extremely affordable rental spaces for families. I also really like the fact that there's not much parking. As everyone knows, it is almost impossible to get onto the bridge at rush hour. So I think the less cars on the road is better. So the less parking spaces, the better. Encourages more biking. And the fact that it's so close to Phibbs is just a no-brainer to be able to use FIBS exchange and the bus routes instead of your own vehicles. So I actually think that's quite good that there's less parking. I also think that the proposed package for the tenant relocation is extremely generous, actually. I'm actually blown away by that. I wish I was renting there right now so I could get this package. So I just want to say good for you for doing that, really caring about the citizens. And I just had a question about the other areas, like the 4 houses to the west and the 3 to the east, and then on the opposite side of the road. Is any of that up for development right now? I'm just kind of curious what the timeline would be like for especially the one to the west to be developed. Yeah, just kind of curious about if there's any news about what else is being developed in that area. But all in all, I think it's wonderful, and I think it looks like a beautiful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we can quickly respond to that. I believe we don't have any applications in for those other properties, and so at this time, we don't have a timeline for the redevelopment of those properties. They're anticipated to be redeveloped under the official community plan. Well, there's additional density contemplated under the official community plan, but it still takes a willing owner to bring forward an application in those additional spaces. The next speaker, I have 2 additional speakers that are joining us virtually. First speaker will be Corey Cost, followed by Marcy Dean. Corey Cost, can you hear me?
Yes, Your Worship. Can you hear me?
Clearly. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Okay. My question is actually quite simple. You know, I'm always a numbers person. So if I heard correctly, the proponent has to shell out $55,000 for the bus passes for 6 months. Did I hear that correctly?
That was the number I heard. That covers the units that do not have parking stalls at, is it one 2-zone pass per apartment that doesn't have a parking place? That's what I'm having confirmed, that's the cost for 6 months.
What's missing is how many of those units are there?
How many units come with no parking stall? Can we answer that question quickly? No, some come with parking.
Boy, 22 people trying to do now.
Yeah.
No, it's
43.
37 units do not have parking. 36 units do not have parking bound with them. And so that represents 6 months of 2-zone parking passes for 36 units. Is that accurate?
Okay, so $50,000.
Sorry, Dr. Koss, I have further information to assist you. Hang on just a moment.
Yeah.
We made an assumption that there would be a certain amount of turnover over 5 years, and that so if somebody new moves in after 2 years, they would be given that option.
I don't have you at the microphone, so I'll do my best to recount that just for the record. Mr. Labe said that that is intended to cover up to 5 years of unit coverage, anticipating some churn or turnover of the units during that 5-year period. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
exactly right. So that's how we came up with that number.
I'm still confused. How many months times? So there are 6 months times 43, which is 258.
Times 36. So it's 6 months times 36 times 5 years. No, sorry, 6.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense to me. I think it's valid for a 5-year period for the building occupancy. In other words, somebody doesn't come in to.
Okay, well, we're not going to hold up the hearing at that point on that. We'll make sure we get that information before the matter comes back for second and third, but I'm going to come back to you. You still have over 4 minutes of time, Dr. Koss.
My point being, the bus passes over $1,000 a month. It doesn't sound reasonable. You know, I mean, it can't be that expensive. I know transit has gone up in price, but please check if that's a reasonable number. That's all I wanted to do. Okay, thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker I have is Marcy Dean. Marcy Dean joining us virtually. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Clearly. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Okay, thank you. I do not have any complicated mathematical questions. I am a business owner in the neighborhood. I own a business at Main and Mountain Highway. It happens to be a mortgage brokerage business, so I work with first-time homebuyers and all kinds of people on the North Shore requiring mortgage financing for residential. I think this is a great proposal. I see every day in my office how badly people need rental accommodation on the North Shore. I'm also involved in the neighborhood just with business owners, hoping to improve the neighborhood for like some business improvement association stuff. So I love the town center. I love the park thing they're doing. Transit is definitely the way to go in this neighborhood. We do tend to have some parking problems, but I think a lot of that right now is just the influx of construction workers at the moment. And there's no doubt that there's a housing crisis in BC. So just my 2 cents, anytime we can build rental housing in the district of North Vancouver, it's a good idea. So that's all. I support the project and hope it will go ahead in my neighborhood. I also live 6 minutes up the road from this. So work here, live here, and hope this goes ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Marcy Dean. Okay, would anybody else like to add their comments to the hearing for a first time? Yes, welcome. If you can come up to the counter here and add your name, and then you're welcome to speak for 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Johan Family. I live on the 2881 Woodbine Drive, District of North Vancouver. I have lived and worked in North Vancouver for past 30 years, and now my kids need to find a place to live, and it's been extremely hard for them. And I think the Bond Street development looks like a good project, and it's close to the bus terminal so that they don't need to own a car. I strongly support this project.
Thank you very much. Okay. And so I have no further speakers that have indicated their interest to speak a first or second time. And so I'm just going to take a bit of a pause and we're going to check in with staff. A couple of questions have been shared from the council. Wondering if you're prepared to answer those questions.
Yes, thank you, Worship. So the first question is a two-parter, and I believe the applicant is best suited to answer this. So the first part is, what are the current rents in the 4 single-family homes? And the second is, what will be the market rents for the studio 1, 2, 3 beds?
So the 7 units that are currently available, there's a 3 2-bedrooms and 3 3-bedrooms, and this entire house on sale. For the 2 bedrooms, they're currently being rented for $1,000 to $1,500, so very low. And for the 3 bedrooms, they're between $1,800 and $2,200 for the 3 bedrooms. Now we are proposing in our units, when the market units that are coming up, the average market price for studios, I believe is $1,700 for on average for the studios. For the 2 bedrooms, about $2,500. For the 2 bedrooms, it's about $3,000, and for the 3 bedrooms, about $3,300 on average.
Okay. And so,
what was the 1 bedroom?
For market?
Yeah.
Current market, I think it's about $2,500 for a 1 bedroom.
So that, because Lynn Creek is advertising 1 bedroom, 550 square feet at 2,500. That's what they're current.
Yeah, that's what it's current.
So 2,500. So can I just ask another question? I just want to know about the 10%. If you're trying to find a 2 bedroom at 10%, when a 1 bedroom is 2,500, where will those be?
I mean, it's going to be a challenge, but we're going to start early. We're going to try to get them with maybe affordable housing, social housing, because they are paying quite low in the rents right now. 10% above the marketplace, I mean, the current rents. It is going to be very difficult, but I think with the package that we're going to give them, that they'll hopefully, be able to find somewhere with that package.
Back to you.
Thank you, Worship. So the second question is, TransLink advertises $137 per month for a 2-zone pass. How does Pure Living calculate $1,000 per month? So I think this is related to the $55,000 contribution for the transit passes. So I've just done some quick math on my computer here. So if we're looking at $137 per month, and they're providing it 6 months, so $137 times 6 months times 34 units, sorry, 37 units. That's, so right off the bat, at occupancy, that's $30,000 of transit passes. And if we assume there's a little bit of turnover over the next 5 years, then that $30,000, and depending on how much turnover, could go up to $55,000. So long story short, the initial investment is $30,000, and that's 137 times 6 months times 37 units.
I think it's 36 units, but that's fine. That gives us a ballpark anyway to work with, and with the additional contingency for churn and turnover of the units. But yeah, okay. Additional questions, Mr. Zhang, or is that it for the council questions?
We just had another question come in. It says, what?
I'm typing like Counselor Hanson, right? All sorts of spelling mistakes. So do you want me to just read it?
Yes, please.
It was
time to calculate then.
timing. No, there's no calculation. Okay. I'm done with the math.
All right.
So what's the what plan does staff have to address the parking issue in the neighborhood?
Okay.
I'm gonna, Your Worship, I'm gonna try to answer this question. We did ask an engineering staff, transportation staff to attend tonight, but they couldn't make it in person, but they have given us some high-level message. So parking is a very valuable public resource in the neighborhood. It's public, it's not private. And what the district staff have been doing in the town centers is that we have been rolling out time-limited parking. So that is coming to Lynn Creek. Start with, I think, 4-hour time limited on side streets. And then when it's closer to Marine and Main, it's 2-hour limited. So staff are certainly mindful of the limited parking in the area, and we're closely monitoring the situation. And for this applicant, because we have supported the TDM measure as well as reduced parking in the basement, we are obligating the applicant to do a post-occupancy study to look at their tenants, how are they using the public transit, how are they using their private vehicle, where they're parking their private vehicle, and whether those TDM measures are effective. So that would be, we have to figure out a term of it, but that would be post-occupancy. And the cost of that could be easily $20K.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, are there any other questions that have been submitted to staff? Okay, so I'm going to come back and check. Would anybody else like to add their comments to the hearing for a first or second time? Okay, and then I'm going to do something that's looks a little, yes, please welcome. If you want to comment, you're absolutely welcome. We're non-threatening people. It's
Yeah, hi, everyone. Yeah, I think I'm in.
Love to have your name for the record.
Huh?
Would love to have your name for the record.
Oh, Vivian Lim, and I live in the area, and I would like to say that I think I'm in favor of this project. I would hope that this sounds like it's a template for maybe the continued template for the rest of the OCP, for the whole area. And I would hope that the other parts of Bond Street and all the other areas and that would not take another 5 or 10 or 15 years to build out. Because I think even the province is looking to kind of speed up the process. And I think this is a good template. And we do have a good OCP plan that has been in the works for now 10 years and is being developed. So I would like to be around to see it happen completely one day. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Okay. Are there any other questions that have been received by staff?
Yes, Your Worship, there has been one new question, and let me just read. Maybe this is a question for the applicant as well. The question, I'm going to read it word for word, is, our tenants asked not to speak against the redevelopment as part of their ability to rent the single-family homes. Can you just...
That's a very simple no. We have not said anything to them. A lot of them, I did ask if they want to come speak at the at this event, and on the letter that we sent to them, we encouraged them to come out to give the support or just listen to what people have to say. Most of them are busy, or they're just not comfortable coming and being here.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm going to just ask again, would anybody else like to address the hearing a first or second time? Double check with staff. Have you received any other additional questions from the council?
No other questions.
Okay, so I'm going to do something, sorry, you wanted to speak again? I saw a hand. It has to be on the hearing subject. Yes, you're welcome to come and speak a second time, yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm in favor of the parking ratio. I think it's okay to maybe encourage more transit users and discourage vehicles in the area. I think people do adjust, and having been in the area, and a lot I see. Yes, there are sometimes restricted parking zones, but it seems to be working. It's not that busy during the day. I don't really see a lot of issues with that being in the area. Anyways, that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to address the hearing for a first, second time? Okay, double checking staff. No additional questions have been received?
No, Your Worship.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to exhaust the speakers list, and it sounds a little out of place, but for a first time, would anybody else like to address the hearing? For a second time, would anybody else like to address the hearing? For a third and final time, would anybody else like to address the hearing? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, I believe we've exhausted the speakers list. We'll now look to council for a motion. Councillor Hanson.
I move the public hearing be closed and the matter be referred to the next available meeting of council for a second and third reading.
Second.
Okay. Seconded. I'll call the question on the matter. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries. Thank you very much. So two things, just want to be clear. Do we have a date in mind for that public hearing returning to a regular meeting of council?
Thank you, through your worship. Staff are aiming for the July 10th regular meeting of council.
Okay, so we're aiming for the July 10th. What that means is that tentatively it's scheduled for July 10th. If we have to change the date due to other things, we will do our best to make sure that the agendas reflect that leading up to that, but that is our intent at this time. So we've just passed closure of the public hearing, and what that means is that council can't receive any further submissions from the public on this matter. This is the information that they've received up to this point is what they'll be making their decision at second and third reading based upon. And so if you have questions, please don't contact the council about it. If you have questions about the closure regulations or information, you need to contact the clerk, not the council members on that. This matter, as far as the council is concerned, is closed. Thank you very much for your participation this evening. I wish everybody a great week, and we'll definitely be able to see you back about July 11th to, or July 10th or 11th. 10th. Have a great night.